残酷な天使のキスキス新しい未来へとエンジョイで自分の最へとハイタッチに道しるここにあれば広がる闇の中冷たい波の手震え
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the ATCast. This week it stands for the Anime Trash Cast.
Yay, trash!
We're going to be talking about all of the things that we watched this year, which is less than all of the anime, but more than some of the anime.
Accurate. We're already starting with the dumpster fire. Let's go.
Listen, all of anime is basically a dumpster fire. Like,
Yeah.
There's no qualifying we need to do here.
No, I believe that. Yeah.
Okay, so we started in the winter with a bunch of things.
Yeah, winter 2017.
Yeah, we started with KonoSuba Season 2, which I love very dearly. I hold it very close to my heart.
KonoSuba's so good.
KonoSuba is one of my favorite things. And what's kind of funny to me is that it came out as an anime before the inevitable wave of isekai shows that we're gonna continue getting. But it's just like way better.
We should have called the all the isekais cast.
Yeah, well, welcome to the all the T-sekais.
Isekais.
Listen. It doesn't start with T. We can't do that.
But the starts with T.
Okay. I see. All
Anyway,
the isekais.
Yes. Tell people what's KonoSuba about if we're gonna start with that.
KonoSuba is about a guy who gets sent to a different world, and then he has to live in the game world, but it's life. Yeah.
It's a terrible summary.
Listen, there are a lot of anime that are like that.
I know. Well,
except
first
in
of all,
KonoSuba, the protagonist is an absolute trash human, and I love him.
he is a trash human. He died. He's
dies.
a trash human who died, and that's why he gets sent to the next world. And his first, they basically grant him, a wish before he enters this next world. And so his wish is for the goddess who greeted him to come with him into the next world. And so she kind of gets basically screwed over by her own powers and has to accompany him into this fantasy game world where he lives his life. And she's also turns out to be a trash goddess, so they're a perfect pair.
Yep, that sounds about right.
Yep.
But we do have to be careful, because if we summarize all of the anime, this is going to be 800 years long.
It's fine.
Okay, so yeah, we watched KonoSuba. I actually made you watch the first season too, because it was required viewing for the second season, and it's really good. It's really funny.
It has lots of great characters.
It's very charming.
It's charming. If you like comedy, you like fantasy, watch it.
You just watch it. You just watch it. I don't. You know what? I don't even care if you don't like fantasy. Just watch it. You know. Just.
It's not your stereotypical fantasy. How about that?
I hold a special place in my heart for any anime that starts out and then just it becomes, hey, wait a minute, what were we doing? Why are we just working now? It's
it derailed into its own thing.
It's this anime and that one where the demon lord becomes a McDonald's worker.
Yes,
I love
yes,
that too.
yes. I love that one too.
I'm just saying, there's a special place in my heart for any show that's just oh, by the way, it's like magic and shit, but also, guys gotta eat. All right, yeah. I mean, how did you feel about about KonoSuba, just like sort of in general?
I really enjoyed it because it wasn't quite what I was expecting. Like, just looking at the cover art and stuff, I was like, oh, it's just another, like, happy-go-lucky, they're in the fantasy world kind of thing. And then I read the premise, and I was like, oh, it's a dude dies and is stuck in fantasy world forever kind of thing. And then I watched it, and I was like, wow, these characters.
Yeah, I mean, it's like... The cover art says Sword Art Online, but the anime itself says Danshi Kokosei no Nichijou.
Basically, it's really good. It's almost in its own like a deconstruction of that genre too.
Yeah, I love KonoSuba very dearly. It's very funny.
Yes.
Which is, I feel like, kind of a hard note to hit in anime. There are very few that make me just sort of like laugh. But also, I felt some, like, actual emotions during the finale.
Oh, yes.
Oh my god. I love it because it's just, like, the unlikely dumbasses who come together and they're like, we only have one skill set, but we can use that to, like, do something good, maybe.
They worked together, made very good use of their limited powers.
And it made me very happy. That's another thing I like a lot.
Yes.
Overall, would you recommend it?
Yes, overall I would recommend it. Anyone who's looking for something more lighthearted that does the opposite of taking itself seriously. If you want like a new take on that genre of like getting transported to another world kind of thing, then definitely watch it.
It also skips all the bullshit. Like, just
skips all of it.
Just all the bullshit that might happen. It's like, oh, what will happen with this dramatic character? Oh, never mind.
Right.
Yeah, they're just fucking around.
yeah, exactly.
But, you know, it works to the anime's favor, so that's pretty good. All right.
Sure.
So, next we watched Kobayashi-san Chi no Maid Dragon, Doragon. This was the KyoAni anime that I forgot was a KyoAni anime.
Yeah, I agree. I forgot it was KyoAni as well.
But it was surprisingly good.
It was very heartwarming and charming. Like, I wasn't expecting that either. I wasn't expecting to get so attached to these characters as well.
Yeah, they're very cute. I will say, don't read the manga. Just, you know, just let the anime exist on its own. Because, like, the anime is a wonderful, wholesome, beautiful story of a dragon lesbian that moves in with an office worker. And they adopt a child together, who's also a dragon. And it's beautiful, but the manga is like that, only everything is terrible, and there are boobs everywhere. And also, it makes you want to die inside.
Well, I guess they focused on different things for the same story.
Yeah, KyoAni definitely tempered some of the more, I'm gonna say illegal parts of the manga. That's all we'll say for now on that.
I'm glad they got a good head of their shoulders.
Yep, they sure do.
Focus on the aspects that would make it more approachable.
But yeah, overall, very charming show.
Yes, very lighthearted watch.
It's actually very wholesome, as long as you don't think about the fact that the manga exists. I've read some other stuff by this manga, and hoo boy.
Oh.
Yeah, it's they're all like that.
Okay. I'll believe you. I haven't read any of it, so.
Just don't. It'll, you know what? Just don't think about it even. Forget I even mentioned it, you know?
Okay, it doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist. Okay.
All right,
well,
cool.
Overall, would you recommend this?
Yes. I would recommend it for people who like a more, I guess, energetic kind of slice of life, because a lot of slice of life anime is very, like, chill and slow. This one actually has a pretty good pace, and it keeps up the jokes and the comedy very well, in my opinion.
I agree.
And the art style is cute, so, you know.
Oh my god, it's so cute. But then you again, we just look at the manga again, and it's just like, oh, I see. They made it better for the anime. Because, like, in the anime, they're like reasonably proportioned, and they look like, oh, they're cute anime characters. And in the manga, it's just like, oh, why are they children with giant tits?
Ah, I see.
Yeah. It's, you know what? It's just the way that it goes. Sometimes you can just enjoy an anime and never ever think about the trash fire that was the manga.
Well, that's me, because I never read it. So there you go.
All right.
Cool.
All right.
Let's see. Next, we watched a bit of Masamune-kun no Revenji, aka the petty anime.
It's really petty. I know somebody who watched, I think, all of it just because of how petty it was.
All of it. Yes.
I
don't think you or I watched all of it, or I never even read the manga either.
I haven't watched all of it, but I did read the manga for it.
Okay. How is the manga?
Just as petty.
Okay. So did the anime do a good job of retelling the manga?
Yeah, I think the anime did a good job.
Okay.
Overall. If you like petty revenge stories that dip into like weird rom-com stuff, this is definitely for you. Like, you know who you are. You know who you are. You know who you are.
You are very self-aware, you people out there who love petty stuff.
I mean, this is the kind of thing that you would watch if your favorite movie growing up was like, You've Got Mail.
You're going too old school.
I mean, I'm just saying. Like, that's the level we're playing on. Some people just really like stories where they hate each other and then they want to kiss. And yeah. I have to admit, I don't hate it.
That's you.
I know what I'm about.
I know. Yeah, exactly. You're self-aware.
Yep. So yeah, would you recommend this?
Oh God. See, I'm torn because I personally would not finish this anime. However, it has a very clear core audience. Like it's very aware of who they're directing towards, and I think they direct towards that audience very well. So it is like kind of like you said, like if you like this type of drama, then this is gonna be for you. But for me, I don't like this type of drama, so it wasn't for me for the get-go, which is fine because I'm aware of that. And I can't say that it's a bad anime because it tells that kind of story very well. So I can recommend it to people who like this kind of, I don't know, school drama-ish anime.
I love it. I love how petty they are. I can't.
See, that's you. See, this anime was for you and your people.
I admittedly never finished it, but
I mean, you liked it though.
Yeah, I did like. I mean, there's a reason I read so much of the manga. Really, yeah. It's like this is the kind of thing that you watch when you know that you want to consume some kind of dumpster fire of a drama. You're just like, you know, it's really great because it's like low stakes because none of it fucking matters. Like It's all really petty, and they rag on each other, but also they're like, maybe I have the dokis though, and that's a good time. Honestly, if that's what you want, this is a good time.
There you go.
All right, so I didn't watch this, but you did.
I did. I watched Exorcist Kyoto Fujouou-hen, and it's basically like the second season of Blue Exorcist, but it's more true to what happens in the manga because the original anime like continues. It basically spirals off from what the manga does, kind of like Full Metal Alchemist did, and so this is kind of like that never happened. This is what actually happens kind of thing. So in my opinion, I mean, I liked the original anime, it was fine, but I liked this telling of the story a lot more just because obviously it was by the original author, so it feels more authentic. It's about the kids and they go to more adventures in Kyoto, and and I don't think this time they summon Satan, unlike in the original anime, so there you go. There's that.
Oh, I never watched the original anime, so I didn't know that was where it went.
They spiraled deep on that, and they just went off, and they were like, you know what? Let's just summon Satan at the end. The the human brother becomes full demon, blah 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 blah. And then in this one, they don't go that direction at all.
Yeah, they do the brotherhood like psych.
Yeah, they maintain the canonhood of that at least and keep going with that.
But it does start like halfway through, right?
Yeah, so it kind of picks up halfway from the original anime.
God, that must be so jarring. That's way more jarring than the regular like original Fullmetal Alchemist and Brotherhood.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Because at least that one was like, well, we have about 13 episodes where nothing really happens because that's the recap part. Just go watch the original.
Yeah. Right. And in this one, you kind of have to go into it knowing that they're gonna pick up where the manga left off. So
God, I know.
Otherwise, you're very.
I know that we're not like we're talking about like seasonal stuff, but man, I really want just a full remake of Fullmetal Alchemist.
Like a full
remake where they
all the way from the beginning of the manga to the end of the manga.
Yep, all the way from the beginning to the end, where they like hit on all the story beats and they give each arc enough time to land its impact. Because like I watched Brotherhood recently. I rewatched the entirety of it and it was really good, but some of the early scenes definitely do not hit as hard because
oh yeah, for sure, I agree, because they had to spare on or like save on time and stuff. Be like, oh, you already watched this because you watched the original anime, so we're just gonna summarize it.
I'm really sad about it.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I would appreciate another remake of it as well, if only because animation's gotten better since then. And it's not a story that I ever get tired of.
I mean, I rewatch it like once a year and I still love it.
Yeah, I still love it, so I wouldn't mind it, but you know.
Yep.
Oh well. Yep. So, next we have Kuzu no Honkai, and I'll leave you to talk about this because this is another drama thing that I hated.
I also did not finish this anime, but it is very much in the same like level of dumpster fire, only the edge is ramped up way more.
It's not even like a comedy, right?
No.
Like unlike Masamune-kun, like this actually takes itself seriously.
This is 100% the most like edge youth dumpster fire of a relationship train I've ever seen in my life, because the premise just revolves around the two main characters who are fake dating each other so that they're compensating for the people that they want to date but can't because they're like old people. I say old, they're only like 4 or 5 years old.
They're like
teenagers. But like they're like teenagers, so that's like fucking eternity.
Yeah. Yeah, the kids are teenagers and then the adults are teachers. And they can't date them.
You know what? I really like this sort of thing. I can only consume it every now and again, but sometimes I just want it. I crave it.
That's not a craving I ever have.
I mean, that's because you're sort of past all the teen angst. It is so edgy and so dramatic.
Like it just goes the full mile.
It goes the full mile and a half because they're like everything about every relationship in this anime is real fucked up, and the male teacher is like the only one who is like a decent fucking person.
Really?
But they all know they're terrible, and it's amazing. Basically, the female teacher that the dude is in love with is like boning the male teacher to get like she just gets a kick out of it basically, and she knows it. But like she owns it, and she's just like, I'm a really fucked up, unhealthy person. You don't want to date me, and he's just like, yeah, that does sound really fucked up, but I'm still into it. And then the like poor male teacher doesn't know any of this, so he's just like, oh, I love my wonderful girlfriend, and I cherish her very much, and I'm just like, you're the only good person in this show. Even best friend lesbian, who I love dearly with my heart, is also like, I'm gonna abuse this power dynamic that we have to sexually take advantage of you. It's a lot. Like,
oh,
it never goes all the way, but like there are some, let's just say, parts of this anime that you wouldn't want to watch with your parents around.
I wouldn't introduce my parents to a dumpster fire anyhow, so...
You don't go around telling your parents about, like...
No.
about dramatic anime.
No, I don't. We don't like pass by a fire and I tell them to jump into it, right? We walk around it.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I might jump into it on my own time, but I'm not dragging them into it. They're too old.
All right. Would I recommend this? If you like dumpster fires and angst and drama, fucking go for it.
Yeah. If you don't, then you can be like me and just hop right off of that after one episode.
Just nope right out of there.
Yep. Cool.
All right. Next, we watched Youjo Senki, which is funnily enough also an isekai show. It's just not set in a fantasy setting.
That's true. It is. I mean, it's semi-fantasy, right? There's a bit of magic technology.
It's like fantasy, but like if fantasy was set in Germany.
Yes.
But like with guns and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of dig the setting.
Yeah.
Because I like that 1900s magic. That's why I like Fullmetal Alchemist, because the setting is very like strongly like, oh, it's like 1900s. They have cars and guns, but also magic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I liked the environment and whatnot too. I enjoyed the art. It's different, and I like how different it was. It wasn't different in like a kind of way either.
Yeah, I would. You know what? I think for all of the like flack you can level at this anime, that's like the one thing that they did like right. It's like, okay, this 36-year-old man or whatever, how old he is, he's definitely in his 30s, inhabits the body of a 12-year-old girl, but they're not gonna be weird about it. Like, okay, all right.
I do appreciate that they didn't fan service him or go in that weird territory, at least not from what I saw of him.
What's interesting is they didn't even fan service the like other female character in the show.
Yes.
They're just like bundled up in reasonable clothing with guns.
Yes.
It was kind of weird.
It felt surreal also because like the soldiers really did respect this 12-year-old girl being their commander.
Oh my god. That's one of my favorite screen caps from like the entire year. I think it's just the one where she's like narrating and the subtitle just says like, I'm doing this because there's no other way forward, and it's just this fucking like tiny girl standing next to all these other like real soldiers. And she's like half their size. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, like I would have thought that they would go a bit more into like dynamics of like people not respecting her because she's obviously a 12-year-old girl and she would have to beat them down until they respected her, right? Like I thought that was the route that the anime was gonna go, but they kind of skipped over a lot of that, I felt like. And
yeah, I think they did pretty well with that.
Yeah, they just were just like, nope, we're gonna go right into Tanya being evil.
Yeah. If you like isekai and magical like pseudo fantasy and also fascist aesthetic, you'd be really into this show.
Mm-hmm.
It's, I mean, as is, I think it's like kind of an amusing show to watch. Like if I wanted to turn my brain off and not think about anything and watch like a little tiny baby make grotesque faces, this is the show I would go to. I'm gonna be honest, I love when people make super grotesque faces. I know we're not gonna talk about it yet, but Shokugeki no Soma.
Or Kakeguri.
Yes.
I do. I love the weird expressions that animators give to people sometimes, and this anime is one of them. So there's that.
All right, let's talk about Little Witch Academia, which
okay.
I am ashamed to say I only watched 3 or so episodes of because it's really good.
I'm ashamed that I didn't finish it either. I don't know. It's one of those ones that's like, it's so good, and then I just, like, forgot to pick it back up again.
Yeah.
Which you wouldn't think would happen with a really good show, but it happened.
Listen, it happens to me all the time.
We get distracted too easily by, like, shiny new things or something. I don't know.
Well, also, I just didn't have time, I guess. I need to go back and watch all of it.
Yeah, I'm going to go back and watch all of it, too, because it's so good.
It's really good. It's really cute. And the episodes I watched were like, oh. And the movies were really good. And, God, there's just so much I love about this anime.
Mm-hmm.
They're all
like the
really
animation,
cute.
like, even, like, when it was just in development, I was so excited for this anime because I would see like, you know, the development sketches and the way they animate certain things. I was like, God, it's so beautiful. I want to watch it. And then it came out. I was like, oh, it's everything I wanted.
And then you just didn't watch it.
And then I forgot to pick it back up.
Tragic.
Too tragic.
Oh well. Let's talk about something we did watch.
Okay.
Spot Demi-chan.
It's so cute. But Demi-chan wa Kataritai. So
I love it.
This one we actually finished.
We did. We actually finished this one.
I don't know why we didn't finish Little Witch Academia versus we finished this, but it just, I don't know, life happens.
Listen, Little Witch Academia was fun. It was chaotic. It was basically a Studio Trigger work, but Demi-chan was so wholesome. So good.
We get stuck on the wholesome ones.
You know what? This is just, I just love wholesome anime. I can't help it.
I love the dynamic of, like, you love these trash dumpster fire of human being animes, and then you also really love these wholesome ones. I think it's because you watch the dumpster fires that you need the balance.
Yeah, no, that's exactly why I have to balance it.
Like, you wouldn't survive if you didn't have some hope for humanity.
Pretty much. I have to very carefully balance the terrible, like, god-awful cesspit of humanity with just the brightest shining example. I love Demi-chan a lot because it's everything that I want out of a wholesome anime, and it plays with monster girls, but they're not like weird or sexualized or in any way. It's just oh, this is like a metaphor for people who don't fit in and who need special accommodations. And also the teacher is great because he's not like, oh, I'm gonna use this opportunity to be weird and hit on all these girls. He just wants to be their teacher.
It's very nice about how it toes that line of, like, oh, these girls might have, like, crushes on so-and-so or the teacher or whatever, and then it doesn't get into that weird, erotic, perverted zone or anything.
Right. They're just like, yeah, I mean, it happens, like, this is a normal thing that happens. You're right. It is, in fact, a normal thing that happens. And I love that the teacher's just like, okay. Whatever. Yep. Also, I love that he's fucking, like, beefy. I love my beefy boy. His arms.
His arms, though!
They're so beefy. I think that the teachers in this show are the best part. Because I really love Sukuba-sensei, too.
Yes. Sukuba is so precious.
Good.
It's, like, almost a harem anime. Because, like, all the girls are really fond of the one male teacher. But they don't ever, like, I don't know.
They don't ever weird.
They don't go quite that full length of making it a full harem. They just kind of have crushes.
I'm very glad.
Yes. I hope they make more of it, honestly.
I would watch more of it. Yeah. I would watch more of it in a heartbeat. Mm-hmm. This is what I need. It's what I need in my life.
Monster girls being cute schoolgirls.
All right. I want to talk very briefly about Fuuka. We didn't watch it, but this is based on a manga by the same author as Kimi no Irumachi, which I have beef with because it was pretty good drama until it wasn't. And then it went on for 100 more chapters than it should have, and everything was terrible and awful. But Fuuka is very interesting to me from the standpoint of a drama because the mangaka kills the main character within the first, like, 20 chapters. She just fucking gets hit by a car. Like, she gets hit by a car, and she dies.
Oh!
And here's the thing, though. Not only that, the main character of this show is the daughter of the main characters from one of his other works. I don't remember the name. Oh, it's called Suzuka. And so when she died, basically everyone was like, "What the fuck?" And I'm also just like, "What the fuck?"
I mean, I'm looking at the premise right now, and it sounds so stereotypical, right? It just says, oh, this person loves to use Twitter. He bumps into this mysterious girl who breaks his phone because he was trying to take panty shots. How will his life change now? And you're telling me it's about a girl who gets hit or just gets killed.
She dies. She gets hit by a car and she dies in the first, basically the opening act.
Like, the premise doesn't match at all, which is interesting.
It's
like, I think the premise would kill it for me, right? I wouldn't take another look at it because of the premise.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I do think that it takes some serious, chops to, kill the titular character.
Yeah.
And as much as I have a gripe with, the rest of it, because it wasn't really that interesting, and the main character is very bland, at the same time, I mean, props. You did something that I wish that, a lot more anime would do, not for any, Game of Thrones sort of, oh, anybody could die reason, but just because I think it shows a willingness to depart from the traditional storytelling conventions. I think that's really neat.
Yeah. Like, generally, when they kill off the main character, so to speak, that main character wasn't actually the main character to begin with at all, or the main character comes back, like Yu Yu Hakusho kind of style.
Right.
And, yeah. So I think if they actually kill the main character, then that's interesting. Because it's like, how do you tell the story after that?
This is true. Yeah.
Cool.
Don't think I'll ever watch it because I've been ruined by Kimi no Irumachi.
Oh.
But if you're interested in a slightly out of the ordinary premised band show, then watch it.
Cool.
Okay.
All right.
Next on our list is Gintama.
Oh, Gintama, period.
We love Gintama. We can never stop talking about Gintama.
We will never stop talking about Gintama because we both love the frick out of this ridiculous parody show that doesn't make any sense but is brilliant.
We will inevitably have an entire episode talking about Gintama. So I think
we will at some point. So we'll save that for that discussion.
I think the only thing we have to say about this is it's more Gintama and it's more plot heavy Gintama. And if you're really into that, then oh boy, you'll love it. And then also we watched Porori-hen this year. And that's just gag Gintama, and if you're really into that, watch it. Listen, it's just more Gintama. Honestly, I don't think we need to tell people to watch Gintama. They either watch it or they don't.
Exactly. There's a very divisive camp right there.
For real. Yep. Next is ACCA.
Oh, this is interesting because you and I have very different opinions about this.
You hated this show.
I hated the show. Okay, first of all, I really, really love the intro song. That song is hype. I love it to death. I downloaded it immediately. Oh my god. But the show itself, okay, so it hypes me up with the intro, right? This is my experience with ACCA. It hypes me up with the intro, and then we get into it, and it is slow.
Yeah, okay. I'll say, there's a lot that I like about this show, and I never finished it. Because it's another one of those things that I just never got around to finishing. I never finished it, but I think episode 3 did almost make me fall asleep.
Yes, that's what happened to me. I think that's the episode that I fell off as well, which is a shame because I feel like if I had stuck with it, maybe it would have grown on me. But, yeah, I don't know. It's not like I hate slow anime. There are a lot of anime that I like that are very, Mushishi, for example, very, very slow, but it's atmospheric, and it tells a very clear story by the end of it. And then this, I didn't care much for the world. I liked the art style, but, everything about the world was disinteresting to me.
Well, right.
I don't know.
There's slow pacing, and then there's, deliberate pacing, and they're quite different.
Yes.
And I think ACCA, the first couple episodes at least, are a little bit slow, and you're not, super sure what it's doing.
Right.
I think that if you get farther, it becomes a lot clearer, but I never got to that point. I am very interested in revisiting it, though.
Yeah, I'm interested in seeing where they wanted to go with it, because the intro, I'm assuming that the first episodes are just setting up the characters and everything else, and that's why it doesn't seem like it has a clear direction that it's going in towards yet. That's kind of hinting at things that it'll go towards, because it's, you know, it's doing the setup, but I don't know, I fell off the setup. I couldn't make it through.
Right.
So, oh well. Maybe someday.
Maybe someday.
Maybe someday you'll watch it and then you'll tell me about it and maybe I'll feel interested again.
I mean, to be fair, this is another anime that's just like, there's a lot of food here. So, I'm into that at least. I can't get
it looked great. The anime looked great.
Okay.
I don't know, man. Oh well.
I want to save Rakugo for the end.
Okay, we'll save Rakugo for the end.
So, let's talk about handshakers. By which I mean, tell me about handshakers.
Wait, how am I supposed to tell you?
What do you mean, how am I supposed? I haven't seen this!
We watched it together!
We watched the trailer! I don't remember anything about this.
I feel like we watched the entire first episode and we were like, what the F did we watch? And we never went back to it again. We were just so stunned and confused.
I don't think we did, though.
I think we did.
I don't remember anything about anything that I've seen with my eyeballs when I looked at the trailer. Like, you would think I would recognize at least something.
So, Handshakers is like this weirdly animated, like, semi-CG kind of... I don't even... It's hard to describe because there's a lot going on in it, a lot of different elements. From what I remember, there's like some battles going on or something between handshakers, like different pairs of them. And I guess it's called handshakers because they hold hands and they are, and the girls or whatever are granted like magical powers because of that. I don't know.
None of this makes any sense.
Yeah, I don't think it from what I remember, it doesn't seem to set up the story very well because it does that thing where it throws you into the middle of like a battle or something in the beginning, and then after that it like kind of like rewinds back to the beginning of where, like, before all this stuff happened, you know. And then even then I don't think it set up the world or the plot very well. So if you want a nonsensical anime that's full of like CG action or whatever, there it is.
I mean, yeah, there you go. All right, tell me about Yowamushi.
Yowamushi. This is third season? Yeah, third season. The kids are more grown up because it's their next year of being biker kids, and it's very cute because the kids are cute. At least that's why I watch it. I like the kids. I don't know. I'm a fan of sports anime in general. And it's more dramatic than the previous seasons because they're in the middle of like a big race. That's it. They're racing.
I see.
Yeah, I mean that's basically it. I like sports anime. They're simple and I can turn my brain off, and I can also work at the same time while watching them. So that's why I watch them.
My hatred of sports is just not it prevents me from watching most sports anime. I think the last sports anime I watched was Kuroko no Basket, and that's because they're not even playing basketball. They're basketball Jedi, and they're fighting with the basketball force. That's literally the plot.
That's a really great summary of Kuroko no Basket as someone who's watched it.
I will say, I read the manga for Kuroko no Basket. It ends very abruptly.
Oh.
But I think that's, like, honestly kind of the best place that he could have ended it. I might have wanted
I never read the manga. I only watched the anime.
Basically, they, like, win the, like, big game, and then the manga ends, like, right there. It's like, for all we know, they could have just died immediately afterwards, like
Oh
just.
my god! I would have been so angry.
I don't recall there being too much of an epilogue, and I kind of wish there was. But at the same time, I don't really care. They did the basketball thing. They finished it. They were shooting lasers at each other. It was fine.
Their lives end after basketball. That's why it ends right there.
Yeah, it's like that one boxing anime, Ashita no Joe, where he just dies. He finishes the boxing match, and then he literally dies.
Wait, but did you never watch like Haikyuu and stuff like
No,
that?
I've never watched Haikyuu.
Oh, but Haikyuu is a very approachable sports anime for people who don't like sports anime.
Oh,
in my
no,
opinion.
yeah. Obviously, like,
Yeah.
at some point I want to watch Haikyuu because everything about that show looks great, and
Yes.
all of the boys are great, and all of the
Yes.
ladies are great, and all of the music
Yes.
is great,
Yes.
but I've just never gotten around to it because of my sports aversion.
I'll make you watch it
I
someday.
look at a basketball and my sports allergy goes off. I'm just like,
Yeah, you get hives.
yeah, right. Okay.
Well, there's that.
Yeah, so would you recommend Yowamushi to...
I would recommend it for anyone who is trash like me and just enjoys a nice sports anime in the background. It's very shonen. It doesn't do anything too different from the usual. So,
Okay.
yeah. There you go.
I don't care about the next three, although Onihei was kind of interesting because it was like a period drama, but an anime, and I might want to.
We didn't watch too much of it, but we were very intrigued by the environment and the time setting.
Yeah, because it's about like the Shinsengumi, but like actually though, and not just like the weird
Yeah.
Gintama Shinsengumi that's full of gorillas and mayonnaise
Yeah.
freaks.
Yeah, exactly. So I would be interested in watching more of it later.
Yeah. Yamishibai was, you said, like a horror anthology.
Yes, it's a horror anthology, and it has 5 seasons now. So if you like horror and you like short stories, there's an anime for it. It's pretty good. I like it.
Okay. Sengoku Choju Giga Otsu. This is a really weird anime because it's made like backwards. So
What?
basically what they do is they get like relatively new voice actors and they just put them in a room and they assign them roles based on historical figures like Oda Nobunaga, right? And then they just tell them to improvise. And they improvise and then they animate it, but all of the characters are animals.
Okay.
If you like history and new talent and goofs about Oda Nobunaga, this is your jam. I would watch that. It's interesting.
It sounds interesting.
It's interesting, but without like full historical context, I feel like some of it gets lost. Like there's something we're missing because we didn't grow up with a Japanese high school that tells us about Japanese history and
Sure.
all of the weird shogunates.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to talk about Shouwa Genraku Rakugo Shinju.
Sure.
Holy fuck. This is one of my favorite anime of all time now.
Of all time, though. It's so good.
Holy shit. So originally I wasn't watching the first season, but one of my friends told me to pick it up because it was like really good. So I was like, okay, I'll watch it. You know, I've heard of this like Rakugo thing, and it blew me away because the first episode is like a 2-parter, but in one episode, so it's like 48 minutes long, and it's oh my god, everything about it is so good. Like the characters and the storytelling, the way it ties, the way it layers its narrative is so fantastic because it has all of these Rakugo stories and also parallel stories happening alongside them in their like real lives as they, you know, grow as Rakugo storytellers. And then it has this like overarching meta narrative about how art can stay the same or evolve, but if it changes, is it still the same art form?
Right.
And in a new age where said art form is not necessarily as popular, like, do you need to change it to survive? And God, everything about that was so good. Very well handled.
It was very good. It was very immersive. Like, you felt like you were in that time period, like listening to this guy tell a story. And it's great because it's not, even though it's in a different time period, you could still enjoy it even as like a modern day Soul, right?
God, the aesthetic of the show was also really like strong.
Oh, it was so beautifully done.
And also the characters were amazing. The voice actors did just the most spectacular job.
So good. My boy Akira
Holy
Ishida, though.
shit. I can't listen to Akira Ishida without thinking about Zura from Gintama.
Yes.
And once I get past that, I'm like, oh, it's Kaoru.
Yes.
But this like, his performance here just blew me away. I was like, oh my god, he's this dude.
He is this old man. This old storyteller man.
Like, the story is just so beautiful. It's so good. It's pretty gay, honestly. Like,
it's pretty.
It's like
there's some
it's like
tones there.
queer gay, but like also like time period stuff. It's so good. There's a lot about it.
Yeah. I would recommend that anyone honestly give it a try. If you're not like one of those people who just watches anime for like, I don't know, the more mainstream type of genres, like that are all super actiony or whatever. This one is pretty calm, and it kind of like just sinks you in as soon as you get into it, and it pulls you into its world, and then you realize, oh, this type of world actually existed in pretty recent history, and you really want to enjoy more of it, and it gives you more of it because there's multiple seasons. So please watch it.
Yep.
Spring. So spring, there was the second season of Shingeki no Kyojin, Attack on Titan.
I have not finished the first season.
I finished the first season, and I was telling you about this earlier, but a friend tried to rope me into watching the second season by playing it on the TV and asking me how it was, how I thought of it, and I was like, cool. It's more of Attack on Titan. And that was it. I wasn't pulled back into it or anything. But if you are on the hype train for Attack on Titan, I've heard that the second season is just as great as the first. So, there you go.
I mean, I have read everything that happens in the manga in the second season. And
from what I understand, it follows the manga pretty closely.
Yeah, I don't know. I have very conflicted feelings about Shingeki no Kyojin because it was like good at the time, and I still think that a lot of the ways that it deals with narrative like hold up, but also the mangaka is a total bastard. He's a war apologist that hates Korean people. So I mean, not great. Like one of those yeah, the Japanese army was right actually types, which is not exactly where you want to be on the political spectrum.
Okay, what if you separate the author from the work?
If you separate the author from the work, I think it's much better. Although it's like very odd to me that like this story is about not trusting the military, even though this guy is like fucking giving hand jobs to the Japanese military. It's a very odd position to take. Like his takes are very strange.
Yeah, that is interesting to think about, actually. Why he would tell a story like this when in real life he's not like this opinion at all.
Yeah. But in any case, it's all okay. This is also weird because there was like a story that came out recently where like one of the artists that worked on this manga was arrested for murdering his wife. This is a cursed series. I'm just saying.
There's a lot happening in the background of Shingeki no Kyojin.
Yep.
Okay. Well, it's an intense series, so I guess that...
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it's more of the same. If you like what Season 1 does, Season 2 does it better.
It is more of the same.
So, watch it.
Yep, watch it if you like it.
And speaking of things that you should watch, Boku no Hero Academia, which is the academia that I did watch this year.
Oh my goodness.
My god, I still love this show. It's very good and inspiring and also wholesome.
It's a very good example of how, even though the superhero genre is just like being like beaten with I don't know, it's just like beaten into the ground basically. Like everyone's all about the superheroes. Like they can still tell a really good story in a genre that's overpopularized. And man, the characters are so good. The art is great. The animation is great. Everything is great about this series. I haven't a single complaint about it.
Me neither. Like, if you like shonen and you're kind of tired of what it does, you should watch it because it's refreshing and
Yes.
it will make you believe again, and you can follow your dreams and become a superhero.
In all your dreams.
And All Might is my dad. I really like Boku no Hero. I keep up with the manga.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited
Yeah.
because if they decide to animate more seasons, we get Best Boy Remillion.
I am positive that they'll animate more seasons. I know it's already been pre-approved for the 3rd season,
Yes.
which is coming out like this year, I think.
Best boy.
Yeah.
I'm really into it.
Mhm.
All right. And then next is another anime that
This was a good season.
Oh man, this was actually a really good season because this show I was very cautiously optimistic about, and it just blew me out of the water. It was amazing, and even though the pacing stumbles a little bit in the last couple episodes, my god, is it just the most intense like ride through this amazing story in this world, which is just our world but with more fantasy characters. And it has a lot of smart things to say about storytelling and the storytelling process, and it was really, really meta and had the only good recap episode of all time.
Yeah, it was good. I remember. So yeah, the series we're talking about is Recreators. And boy, so in the beginning, like you mentioned cautious optimism. Like in the beginning, I was actually really turned off by the anime. Like I was just like, oh my god, it's more of like, I don't know, more of the same. Like
It's a reverse isekai.
Yeah, exactly. It's a reverse isekai where it's like this kid, and then these fictional characters come into the real world, and oh, it's like a pretty girl. Oh, it's another pretty girl, but it's a dorky dude with glasses as the main character, right? And then by the end of it, I adored everything and everyone because the story like just evolves, right? And like you get all these different characters from different franchises coming into the world, and then they're basically battling out over different reasons, and you get attached to them because they're also very different and likable, I guess. Like they tell their stories pretty well in a way that you become invested, and then you want to know more about what's gonna happen between these, like the mecha boy and then the otome girl, and and I don't know, it's just a really good approach to all different genres of anime, in my opinion.
I'm just saying, this show made me cry, and that's quite difficult to do.
I cried. Oh, I cried at the end.
Like, oh my god, I felt so emotional watching this show, and I love all the characters, and they're all done so well, and they all approach like different character archetypes in the way that we tell narrative in such an interesting way.
Yeah.
I loved it.
And I feel like it's a really underrated anime, too, because I don't hear anyone talking about it.
I don't either, and I think more people should watch it. I think
more people should give it a chance.
Everyone who has any vested interest whatsoever in anime or storytelling or is a creative person should watch this anime because, oh my god.
Yeah. Just stick with it. If you don't like it from the first episode like I did, just stick with it. I promise you it will pay off at the end.
Listen, I'm just saying, you can tell a lot about somebody by who their favorite character is in this show.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna take a guess for you. Is it Mecha Boy?
I love him!
I know you love your Mecha Boys.
Don't look at me! Don't look at me and my Mecha Boys!
It's okay. My favorite one is Magane.
Magane, really? I didn't like Magane very much, but I appreciated her as a character. Like, her being there.
Well, I love her because I just like characters like that.
I would have thought that you would like our favorite Best Recap girl.
Recap Meteora. She's like very close second.
Okay.
I like her a lot too.
Because she's close second for me too.
Because listen, all I'm saying is she just loves to eat food.
Yes.
And that's she just eats food.
She eats food, and she's a very smart girl, and she carries a book.
These are all things that I enjoy. Books, food, girls. Yeah, but Magane is too much like. She's like too much a chaotic character for me not to enjoy. Like I love
like
shit
her role.
stirs.
Yes, I liked that part of her character. I just didn't like the fact that she talked too much.
I mean, yeah, but that's because her whole deal was that she talks too much.
Yeah, exactly. And it was just me, like, personally. I was just like, I don't like characters like that because it just doesn't add anything to the story. Like, they could be spending time doing something else, kind of thing.
Well, I also just love that the sort of end of her character arc is that she's just like, actually, I like people, and then she helps them, and then she just disappears. Like, yeah. I want to know where she is, but I love her. I appreciate her a lot. I'm just saying, I like characters like that. My favorite Danganronpa character is Fukawa. That's all you need to know. That's all you need to know about me.
Well, their designs are very similar.
They are. That's definitely part of it. We watched Kigakire, which is obviously a reference to Natsume Soseki's very famous translation. If you've ever played a Persona game, you know what this means. But if you have not, it's a translation that he did to culturally translate the concept of personal love. And this show was good. If you like coming of age stories, but for like middle schoolers.
It was okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was okay.
It was. I think that there was a lot wrong with it, but I think the heart of it was pretty okay. And I mean, there were a lot of parts of it that I was just like really frustrated at because I was like, come on.
Yeah.
Like, I know you're middle schoolers, but come on.
I feel like it could have been told in less episodes, the
100%,
story.
100%.
Yeah, it felt like a lot of it was stretched, or they just added in something unnecessary or whatever. And but otherwise, like, it was fine. I didn't mind it, and I didn't hate it. Well, there were moments when I got really upset because, me and drama.
Yeah,
but...
I know how you feel about dramas. It's fine.
But I made it through to the end of this one, so that says something.
Although, God, I don't know if you've ever seen the dub clip for the last part where he shouts from the train.
No, I saw it.
Oh my God,
it
it's
was
so funny. He just screams, "I love you."
And his voice is like shaking and warbling. It's so good. If anything, watch the English dub of the last episode of this anime.
It just reminds me of one of my other favorite dubs of all time, which is the dub for that one Devil May Cry game where he says, "I was supposed to be the one to fill your dark soul with light." If you don't know what I'm talking about, just look it up on YouTube. It's so funny.
Dubs are good.
Dubs are good, actually. Okay. So you didn't watch this, but I did.
Yes, I did not.
Dungeon whatever. Is it wrong? Is it wrong to pick up girls in a dungeon? Which is a premise that is interesting because you kind of forget that it's not isekai. It's just like straight fantasy.
Oh.
Like, he's not he just lives there. Like, he's just a shithead who lives there. But if you liked that show, but are more interested in, like, people that aren't, like, terrible, you will really enjoy this. Because it's about one of the high-level adventuring parties, and it's way more interesting to watch because you get this colorful cast of characters, and they're all fucking weird, and they can kick some ass, and it doesn't have a lot of what's-his-face white boy. He's not white, but his hair is white.
So they focus on the elements that are more likable.
Well, they focus on just a different cast of characters that is more likable.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you like the premise for Is It Wrong to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon, but you're not like a huge fan of the totally self-insert harem bait like protagonist, then you would actually really enjoy this. Because it's like...
Okay, because that would turn me
because it
off.
cuts all that shit out. And I'm just like, yes!
Okay. Alright.
Yeah, that's all I have to say about that one.
Okay. Let's see what's next. Oh, this.
Yep.
Alright, what is it? Shuumatsu Nani Shitemasu. It has 3 questions in the title.
Shuumatsu Nani Shitemasu ka? Isogashii Desu ka? Sukutte Moratte Ii Desu.
Thank you.
It's... This I had high hopes for and was just left sorely disappointed. It's about fairies, kind of. They have Gaelic-ish names. There's a dude who's like a bajillion years old, and he gives them creepy massages, and none of them die. And I was really disappointed that none of them died. I guess they die at the end or something.
We never finished it, right?
I was assured it was good, but it was not.
Oh. Well, you know, check your references, buddy.
If you like shows that... No, fuck it, I'm not recommending this. Moving on.
I can't recommend it either. Yep.
Okay, so Shingeki no Bahamut, Virgin Soul. Which you didn't watch, but I did. So this is based on a mobile game. Which is interesting. Don't play the mobile game. It's boring as all hell. But the animes are just great.
Oh, okay.
I think it's Studio Pierrot doing the animation, but it looks absolutely gorgeous. Like, it's movie quality animation all the way through, both seasons.
Oh, it says Mappa here.
Mappa. Yeah, that's right. I don't know why I thought Pierrot. I was like, the studio that did the Yuri on Ice, probably. I think that was also Mappa.
Pops.
But yeah, Shingeki no Bahamut Virgin Soul is great. Honestly, like, it's actually just a really good anime. I haven't finished it because I just sort of forgot to. There's I'm on
another one of these.
Listen, I'm on episode like 21 out of like 25.
Oh, okay. Well, you're almost
so
there.
I've almost finished it. It is balls to the walls crazy. It's a beautiful, gorgeous, funny, charming fantasy romp, and that's just season 1. Season 2 takes all of that and makes it way better, because season 1 feels a lot like they're just sort of throwing stuff, like throwing spaghetti at a wall, seeing what sticks. And season 2 shows that they've clearly learned, like, what stuck. Because season 1 is good. It's like a fun sort of fantasy adventure. But then season 2 takes it and they add, like, really interesting conflict, very good characterization, which, I mean, the first show also had. But it has more of that. It has, like, kind of these really interesting, like the moral grayness is turned up, like, a lot more. It's, like, definitely an evolution of the previous season. I would say 110% watch this if you like fantasy. Or if you just like fun, roguish archetypes, because there's definitely one of those, and he looks like Ronald McDonald, but with a scar.
I need to see Ronald McDonald.
You need to see Ronald McDonald swinging around on his action pony, and it's very good. There's...
You know how to sell an anime to me.
Listen, if that's all I needed, there are a lot more anime I got for you to watch, buddy. Shingeki no Bahamut Virgin Soul. I'm curious as to how it ends, but it's really good. Just, like... And I don't see many people talking about it, but it's, like, fantastic. I would absolutely watch it, 100%.
Yeah, I don't hear many people talk about this franchise as a whole.
It's because the fucking mobile games are boring as sin. Trust me.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Next is Sekai Surukado, which I watched and you did not. But basically, it strikes me as like a thought experiment turned into an anime, where if you imagine, like, modern day society gets visited by some kind of alien entity, and this alien entity provides humanity with what it needs to develop as a civilization. In other words, an infinite energy source. And it also provides methods of basically crossing dimensions. And it's basically like, here, humanity, take it, use it, please, innovate yourselves. And it's very interesting and very, very, very slow. Oh man, if you hate slow anime, probably don't watch this one, or skip to like, I think it's episode 6 or so, that they basically recap the first half of the anime, and then it does it in a very concise way that you get all the relevant information that you need, and then go on from there. Because after that, it jumps the shark. The anime ends very weirdly, but up until that point, it's okay. And the character design for the main alien guy is very, very cool. That's it.
Are you saying that just because he's a white-haired boy?
No, I like it because I love his clothes.
Oh, okay. All right, just so we're clear.
Yeah, it's not because he looks like Kaoru or anything. Soup. He looks a little bit like Kaoru, but his clothes are fine.
Okay. All right, I'll take your word for it.
And it's also CG animated, which is very odd, but then you understand why when you see the cube. The anime is about a cube, by the way. There's a giant cube.
I see. Yes. This is how I knew the anime. It was the cube anime.
Yes. There's a giant cube.
I think it's quite interesting that we're getting a lot of like really good CG anime in like recent years. Because like it has kind of a bad rap for being like cheap, but
yeah,
it's getting a lot better.
It is getting better, and I like it because they're getting better at picking anime that are more suited for it, right? Like they even
which is
use
like
CG
the big thing.
Yeah. Like in this case, it's because of all the interdimensional stuff that he does, and the giant cube itself. They need to be CG. If you were to hand animate that, it would be a nightmare. It would take forever. All your budget would go to the cube.
I mean, isn't that what the show is though? Just the cube?
It's basically the cube and the alien guy doing his arms and limbs like teleport different places because he's crossing dimensions and whatever. What is it? They also use CG in Yowamushi Pedal, like because bikes and stuff, like having to draw a bike every time is terrible.
I have a very important question. You said that he can move his limbs through extra dimensions.
Yes.
Do you think he could put his dick through one?
He probably could, but if he had one, I don't know if he does or not.
Does he have one?
I don't know. Like I say but he's technically androgynous. I don't know.
Listen, if an alien showed up, that would be my first question. It would be, so what kind of junk you got?
What kind of junk can you put through that extra dimension there?
Now you're thinking with portals.
Oh my god. Leave.
I'm just saying. Okay. Next. Oshitsu Kyoshi-hein, which we're going to talk about because we both watched it. It's pretty boy is getting taught by a small boy that is actually a man.
Yeah.
I really sort of only put this on here because I thought it was really funny that when we were watching it, I said the word gun and he pulled out a gun.
It was amazing.
Listen, I'm not saying I'm a clairvoyant, but I'm 110% sure that I called it.
I'm pretty sure we lost our minds at that moment.
Well, because he's like, yes, come into my evil lair.
Yeah.
I didn't expect him to actually pull out a gun. But
yeah, I didn't either.
Did.
And he pulled out a gun.
If you like pretty anime boys.
Yeah, if you like pretty anime boys doing their pretty anime boy thing with some light comedy, there it is.
There it is. There's Oshitsu Kyoshi-hein. Alright, so the next one, you also watched this and I did not.
Yes, Warao Salesman new because it's a remake of an older Warao Salesman anime, but basically it's about the salesman who goes around selling solutions to people who are unhappy with their everyday life in some way. Like maybe they're lacking on romance or their work sucks, blah, blah, blah. And he sets them very clear rules about this thing that he sells them. and inevitably each person that he sells this thing to, like, they break the rule and their life is terrible because of it. But
yes.
in that instance where they get their solution or whatever, they're very happy. Like this woman who had a shopping addiction, he gave her, like, I think it was like a credit card or something that was unlimited, but she had, oh god, I'm telling this badly, but basically every person in the end gets screwed over and it just ends with him laughing. It's kind of old school, but it's very, if you like kind of like older anime and you like short stories, then this is a good anime.
It just sounds like Bluebeard the anime, only less wives are gutted.
Yeah. It's just ordinary customers getting screwed over.
I mean, that's fair.
Yeah.
All right, so the next one is one that I watched and you didn't.
Ah.
Nobunaga no Shinobi. This specifically.
Well, I watched a bit.
Yeah, you watched a bit of it. You watched the first season or so, and
Yes.
this is like the second or third one.
Mm-hmm.
I actually really like this series. I think it's like really charming. The pace is like lightning fast because each episode is like 3 minutes long, and it's historical fiction, kind of, because it's like it's based on real history, but all of the characters are like played up, and there's also some characters that never existed in history. But it's really funny, like actually funny, and it's really charming because all the characters are adorable, and you can even see handsome Nobunaga with his little handsome mustache.
I like this series a lot. I don't know why I didn't continue watching. I guess because we took a break from it, but
We mostly took a break because each episode was like 3 minutes long, and I just didn't wait to watch it with you. I was just like, it's
how
only 10
dare
minutes, I'll just
you?
watch it. So basically, it's my fault that we did.
It's your fault.
'Cause
Okay,
I just
okay,
sort of
well,
gobbled them up like a child on Christmas or
that's
before
fine.
Christmas. I'm like, oh,
I'll
I gotta
probably,
get all the presents.
you know, I might hop back on it because it's really cute. I love it a lot.
I also really if you like historical, or if you like the specific history of the conquest of Japan by Oda Nobunaga, then you'll really enjoy this. I think it's really great. I said crate for some reason.
You said it's great.
Yes, it's very great. It's very great because there are moments that are a lot more serious, and of course they only last like 15 or so seconds because, there's not much real estate in a 3-minute show. But actually, I think the emotional impact of those moments hits really well, and it hits, like, I think a lot better because of how funny it is the rest of the time. It's sort of like Gintama.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting. I'm getting the feeling of.
Right,
is
it's, like,
Gintama.
very few and far between, but, like,
Yeah.
when you have moments where, like, they're just like, what's your deal, Nobunaga? And he's like, I will conquer all of Japan. I will unite these lands so that there will be no more war. You're like, oh damn, Nobunaga, you're doing it, you're doing a noble thing. Like, I think that there's just something about that idea of conquest as like something that intrigues me, because I really like how it's played a lot in a lot of Japanese media, because obviously, like, hey, one of the most important figures in our history did that, and he turned us into Japan.
Yeah.
I think that's fascinating. Like, in Awakening, Wildheart is one of my, like, most, like, he's like my favorite villain, because he's just like, I mean, at this point, I've killed a bunch of people, but, like, I'm doing it so that we don't fight each other anymore. And I'm just like, damn.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of sort of very subtle things that happen in Awakening that are really good, and I think people don't really give it enough credit. But, like, there's a conversation that Wildheart has in, I think, an Outrealm or something, where if you pit him against someone else, he goes on to talk about, like, his ideals as, like, a conqueror, and how he's like, if you don't have ideals as a conqueror, you're nothing more than, like, a bully. And it's like, oh, damn! About to throw down.
I mean, I'm in a way, like, almost desensitized to that, because I've played all of Dynasty Warriors.
I mean, right, exactly. You're just like, yeah, okay, conquering Japan is just mowing down soldiers, like a bajillion of them.
But they always say it's to unite the land, the land, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, and it's just like, God, kid, how many times have you said the land in this one cutscene?
I think you'll really enjoy it. Oh my god, I love Dynasty Warriors.
I love Dynasty Warriors too. I just like
Dynasty Warriors and Samurai Warriors and all the Musou games. I didn't have enough money to buy the Fire Emblem one, so I wasn't able to play it. Which is
oh my
sad.
frick! Well, you and I are gonna play it at some point.
Yes.
Because I haven't played it yet either.
Yes.
I need to. Yes.
I wonder can you do multiplayer in that game?
I don't know,
Because I
but
know
we'll
you can
find
in a
out.
lot of other ones, but sometimes it's like local co-op.
Yeah.
I remember that
maybe.
I played a lot of like local co-op Dynasty Warriors on
Yes,
the
same.
PS2.
Same. I still have a friend who's just like, yo, you and I got D-dub. And I'm like, I got you, boo. Next time I'm in town.
All right, well, let's move on to summer of 2017. And we are
Yes!
starting with a doozy. We're talking about Maid in Abyss.
Made in Abyss.
Oh, holy
my
hell,
gosh.
Maid in Abyss was good.
Like, you look at it and you think, oh, it's gonna be like a happy-go-lucky anime about two kids adventuring, and holy
And then
crap.
they Madoka you. And you're like, oh, fuck, I wasn't ready.
It will Madoka you, and it will spiral into a story much deeper than you expected.
See, I thought it was very interesting because it starts off as a really good coming-of-age story where I was like, oh, wow, this will be like a really beautiful and charming coming-of-age story.
Right.
Where it's like,
Right.
oh, she's venturing into the depths of the impossible dungeon to find her mom.
Yeah.
Which is like,
Yes.
cool. And then she's going to learn how to be a
Yes.
grown-up there. But
Yes.
then it gets like really messed up and you're like, oh my god, not again!
It gets dark so fast. Like, it takes a very severe turn, like, I think around episode 8 or so. But up until that point, it's just like, oh, she's, adventuring, and she's got, like, a mysterious android-esque kid with her, and they make wiener jokes sometimes, and...
Yep, they definitely talk about his dick a lot. It's actually kind
yeah,
of funny.
and the art is so beautiful.
Oh my
like,
God.
if... Like, the character designs themselves are very simplistic, but the environments are gorgeous and so detailed.
That's actually the reason we picked it up in the first place is
Yes.
because we wanted to watch the anime that has all these, like, watercolor backgrounds.
Yes.
And then I almost cried at the first, or I think the first episode is when they, like, leave for the thing. But, like, I was actually quite impressed with how quickly they were able to get us attached to these characters.
Oh, yes.
And then, or maybe it was the end of episode, like, 2 or 3.
Mm-hmm.
They might have had more than one episode to do this. But I legitimately felt emotionally invested in, like, their departure, and I was like...
Me too! I got emotional!
Yeah, I was like, oh, wow, I'm feeling kind of misty-eyed,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, exactly. I was just like, I barely know these kids, but I don't want them to separate.
Yeah, and that's kind of what sets the tone for
Yeah.
like the coming of age story, and I'm like, wow,
Yes.
this will be great.
Yeah.
And then it gets really dark, and I'm like, I love this, but oh boy,
It's like realistically dark because they're venturing into this abyss where they've been told many, many, many times about how dangerous it is and how there are rules set in place to save, to keep you alive. And because they're breaking these rules, you see the obvious consequences that they knew would happen. Only they're just far more horrifying seeing it actually happen.
Yep.
So, yeah, and I love each individual, like, level of the Abyss is very immersive and very cool. Like, some really original ideas. And I want to see more. They better make
Yeah.
more.
I think all of it is like very well thought out.
Yes.
If you have read the manga, the style is pretty similar, but it's like a lot scratchier, which I think actually does quite well for the setting or for the tone that it wants to set. And also, I love Ozen.
Ozen is a really greatly designed character.
She's big.
Yep.
She's scary. She could snap me in twain with her bare hands. And she's real pretty.
She's real pretty. She is my
And I love
hashtag
it.
aesthetic.
Listen, all you need to know about me is that, like, if a character looks big and pretty and can snap me in twain with her bare hands, I'm into it. I want her to crush me.
Oh my god. Let's not
Let's
not dive too deep into that discussion, okay?
I think her design also is just really neat, and I like her like adventuring
I love her
outfit,
design.
too. And I also just like that she's she's introduced she's like introduced very strongly.
Yes.
And the way that she sets the tone for the rest of the show is really good.
Yeah, it definitely feels like a shift after she gets introduced in how the story is told. Like, oh no, this isn't a happy adventure anymore. These kids are in danger.
It's murder time, children.
Yep.
And then it goes farther, and it gets real fucked up.
Yep.
And I'm just saying, if you don't have a strong stomach, I would just skip like maybe the middle 10 minutes of episode 10.
Yeah.
But overall, it's really good. I would 100% watch more. I'm very interested in what they do next.
Yes.
So if you like fantasy and dark stuff and coming of age stories, kind of, but really fucked up. Like, if you like Ava, you'll like this. I guarantee it.
Even if you don't like Ava, I think you would like this, though.
I think so, too.
It has a very approachable tone to it until it turns...
Yeah.
Okay.
Moving along so that we can finish before a bajillion o'clock. Let's talk about Kakegurui. Kakegurui! My opinion on has, like, kind of cooled since watching it.
Okay.
Because it's, like, not... Like, I'm thinking about it now, and it's not really a gambling anime. They're not really gambling, ever.
Really?
Like, they gamble, but, like, there's never anything at stake because main character wins.
Okay. I can see that. It's kind of like Shokugeki in that sense, I feel like.
Yeah, I would say so, but I think that Shokugeki has, like, some more interesting, like, stuff behind it, because it's got, like, the whole cooking thing, whereas gambling is, like, 100% mind games, and sure, they're playing mind games, but we don't really see that so much as they just kind of make faces at each other. And don't get me wrong, I love that they make grotesque faces at each other. That's honestly, like, why I loved it.
Uh-huh.
And it was entertaining, certainly.
Mm-hmm.
Was not really about gambling, actually.
I think it was a lot of the, like, character mind games, which I don't know. I feel like that is the point of gambling, though.
Well, yeah, but like I feel like there's a very real element to gambling where there has to be some level of risk, and that doesn't ever exist for the main character because she basically loses once, and you're pretty sure it's because someone cheated. Like, it's not gambling anymore; it's just people cheating each other.
Yeah, it is. It ends up being more like a cheating game rather than a gambling game. I agree about that. It's like, how can I get away with cheating and win this game? And then the main character just has to overcome that or cheat. You know.
Mostly, I was just into watching them make funny faces at each other.
Yeah, the art was very good. It reminded me a bit of Prison School, honestly.
Oh, also the opening and ending were jams. Okay, that's all I have to say about that, though.
Yeah. I mean, I thought it was a good watch. The music was really good.
If you like girls making really grotesque faces at each other, watch it.
Yeah.
If you like gambling anime, don't watch it, actually.
It, like, borders on... It, like, is almost ecchi.
Like, it has the aesthetic of gambling. It wears the cloak of gambling, but gambling it is not.
It's fine. It's an enjoyable watch if you like that kind of, I don't know, psychological drama. Mm-hmm.
Gamers! Gamers! I know you didn't watch this show.
No.
But I really loved it, actually.
Yeah, you were talking about it, saying that we need to give it a shot.
It was surprisingly good. Like, I didn't expect it to be good, but it was. So, essentially, the thing about this show is it starts out with the premise of, like, hey, gamer boy, join my gaming club. And then you're like, oh, it's going to be a club anime. But then he's like, nah, I won't join it. And you're like, oh, interesting. So he doesn't join the club, and the main appeal of the game, I almost said game. The main appeal of the show is that it's a like hyper complicated relationship drama, but in the most wholesome way possible.
Okay.
So they're all idiots.
Okay.
They all suck. Like, they're great and lovely, but they're all terrible at communicating, and they're all terribly awkward, and they get tangled in this, like, somehow they take, like, 4 people, and they manage to turn it into a love octagon.
Oh.
But it's only misunderstandings, right? Like, they're not actually in love with each other. Like, everybody has someone that they like, and that's, like, a very clear, like, line.
Okay.
But everyone else has misconceptions about every other character, thinking that they like someone else. So, this girl thinks that her girlfriend... this girl thinks that her boyfriend is cheating on her with someone else, but the boyfriend thinks that she's cheating on him with someone else, and the two people that they think that they're cheating on each other with... Oh, there's like 5 characters. Never mind. There's 5 characters, and they somehow turned it into a love dodecahedron. It's legitimately a good watch, and it has... It's... okay, this is another show that's actually legitimately funny.
Mm-hmm.
Because of how ridiculous they are. They're so silly. They get so wrapped up in their own misunderstandings, and they... Oh, it's this big tangled mess, and it's lovely.
Oh,
and they
okay.
work it out by the end, and it's all wholesome, and they all love each other, and they're all
good.
friends. And the only one that doesn't get any justice is, unfortunately, one of the characters. But on the bright side, she has a very similar personality to our lovely Morioka Moriko from Net-juu no Susume, and Moriko gets her justice. So we'll call it even.
You get it in another form, in another series.
Basically.
All right. Well,
Gamers is really charming. Like,
okay.
I know I say that about a lot of shows, but it's legitimately charming.
Yeah.
And speaking of legitimately charming shows, let's talk about Tsurezure Children. Fuck yes.
All of these series are like right up your alley.
Dude, I'm so into it. It's like a slice of life, but it's also based off like a yonkoma, and it's also completely balls to the walls ridiculous. This is like if Danshi Kokosei no Nichijo was just about a different group of people.
It's just like the silent screaming anime where you're watching and you're like, oh my god, why?
All of the kids are beautiful children, and they're all wonderful. And I'm really sad. I'm really sad that we didn't get the couple in the anime that is... They're both really stoically faced, and they care about each other, but they can't let each other admit it because they're edgy teenagers.
Oh my god.
They're my favorite. Because, like, every time the comic, every time one of their panels ends, it's just one of them staring at the other one, and usually there's, like, a little bubble that's like, I love you.
Oh my god.
But they can't admit it because they're edgy teenagers. It's so good. I love Tsurezure Children. I've been reading it since it was a manga, and holy fuck, it's actually really funny.
It's pretty funny, and it has a lot of different pairings, I guess, like different couples, and they're all very unique, and it's funny as heck to watch them be awkward.
It handles ensemble casting really well, which is quite hard to do.
Yeah.
And all of them feel distinct from one another.
Yes. That's what I love the most, is that they're all different, and I can remember each one of them just by looking at them.
It feels a lot like a rom-com anthology series, but it just keeps going.
Mm-hmm.
And then we move from something that we really enjoyed to something that we enjoyed, but in a different way. Nanamaru Sanbatsu. The finger bang anime. I swear it's not as lewd as it sounds. Because it's about a quiz show.
Your buttons a little bit? Like,
definitely just press those buttons with your fingers.
Yeah. Yeah. Fastest finger wins.
The fastest finger first. I feel like it has the idea of what makes like sports shows like what makes like competition shows interesting, but it has like none of the skills to utilize it. Nothing about this anime was good.
Yeah, like it felt like it followed the formula, right? Like you got the awkward boy who's like has this talent for something very strange, but
his
doesn't
talent
want
is in finger banging.
Yeah, and and then he meets this mysterious guru who's like super into this freaking club about quizzes.
Super into finger banging.
And and then she finds out that he has this talent, and then they get dragged into this dazzling world of quizzes, and they definitely don't do anything with their fingers. That's it.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't care enough about this anime to talk about it anymore. It was not that interesting.
I mean, I watched
wouldn't
one
recommend
episode of it, and I was like, cool, I did it. I saw what it was about.
Yep. And speaking of anime, and I know we're just like sort of sequencing through them really fast, but God, this podcast has been going on for a long time.
We have to summarize a whole year, so, you know.
That's true. It's only once a year. Plus, we're making up for the episode that we didn't have last week, so.
Oh, yes.
True. You know, it's fine. This is you know what? I think I've come up with a tagline for our podcast. It's an ill-defined, semi-regular podcast.
There you go. Easy.
About anime. But yeah, speaking of things that are not that interesting, Shokoku no Altair.
I did not watch this, but you did.
No, you definitely watched some of this with us.
Oh, wait, let me...
We watched this together. This was the one about
Oh, right, the Turkish one. I keep
Turkey.
forgetting. Like, literally every time you say the title, I'm like, I don't know. I don't remember anything about this. You must have only watched it.
Listen, all I'm saying is the setting is hyper interesting.
Yes.
And there was clearly a lot of care put into the historical research.
Yes.
But God, someone does not know how visual media works. Because it was slow. It was boring. The plot wasn't even really that interesting.
Yeah. It's like, it takes place in like basically kind of like a Turkish-ish era. Like it's in Turkey, and the setting is very cool. Like the designs are cool. Like all of that is very interesting, but then the story itself kind of like it just drops
it's aesthetically beautiful.
Yeah.
And the character designs are great.
Yeah.
Even the best friend of the main character, who's just this guy with a mustache. I love that guy, by the way.
I love that guy.
I love his little mustache.
I want to know more about Turkey, and well, they call it in the anime Turkey or whatever.
Turkey. It was just boring as sin. Don't watch it unless you were really, really interested in Turkish history.
Yeah. Which I don't even know how accurately they reference it, so who knows?
It might just be a setting. I don't know either.
Exactly.
Because I don't know anything about Turkey.
Exactly. And that's why I wanted to watch the anime. I wanted to learn about Turkey.
I learned nothing except that they have hawks and cool whistle sticks.
And really, really big turbans.
And huge turbans. I really think that this is a show where your power level is directly correlated to the size of your turban.
Yes. Oh, what a shame.
But yeah, I would not recommend this show. It was just not interesting.
Yeah.
It was like watching a history textbook, and that's not even fair to history textbooks.
I think even history textbooks were more interesting.
Oh my goodness. It's like trying to read the first 30 pages of Game of Thrones, but that's it. That's all of it.
That's all you get.
Yeah.
All right.
That I was upset. I thought that would be good.
Yeah, same.
Oh well. On the bright side, Mahojin Guru was really, really good.
So I kind of like dragged you guys to watch this, or rather, I was just like, we gotta watch this. It's my favorite anime when I was a kid. Yeah, it's a remake of a very, very old anime that came out like in the 90s, I believe, and it's about these two kids that go on an RPG style adventure, and it does such good references to those old school like role-playing games, like, oh my gosh. And yeah, they're trying to defeat the evil demon lord, and it's a very, very, very adorable anime.
I like how they have a lot of references to Dragon Quest,
Yes,
Even though-
specifically Dragon Quest, yeah.
Even though, like, those references aren't actually something that have been relevant in a good decade.
Yeah, but you feel connected to it anyway. Like, even if you haven't played Dragon Quest, you can recognize elements of Dragon Quest because it's such a monumental franchise that's, you know,
Oh, yeah,
other things have spawned from it, you know?
It is super charming and very funny and
Yeah.
hyper adorable. And also, it's just a good anime.
Yeah, in general, it's a good, like, kind of zany anime. Like, it has that pacing that you would expect from a kid's show, right? It's kind of fast and kind of crazy. But even as an adult, you enjoy it because the storytelling's nice.
Yeah, it doesn't feel at all like Urahara, which was really, really, really boring.
The salt.
Nothing happened in that show!
Very aesthetically pleasing, but we did not roll with it.
There was nothing charming about it except for its aesthetic.
Yeah, I agree.
Anyway,
But,
that's all.
yeah.
That's all my salt about Urahara aside.
Yeah.
Maho Jingurugu was very cute, very good,
Very
and
cute.
that one episode that was like somber and they had a lighting budget was very good. I don't know what it was,
Yes.
but that contrasted with the rest of it was, I think, like a really amazing moment of like feeling like a coming of age story. Like it's a moment where like the pacing of the story slows and we have kind of a somber moment where like we have almost this moment of like decision that one of the main characters has to make, and oh my god, I love everything about that episode, and I'm gonna think about it for a
Yes.
long time.
Yes.
And
Yes, for
I'm
sure.
definitely gonna 100% put it into some tabletop RPGs. Don't tell my friends.
By the way, he got inspired by this one episode of Maho Jingurugu.
Listen, I steal all of my tabletop things from anime. Like it's not even subtle. It just happens. Although I did recently run a game, like a one-shot session that was set in a city that was basically like Hong Kong-y and was
Okay.
very, very Kung Fu Hustle.
Oh my god.
It was really good. Anyway, tangents aside,
All right.
Maho Jingurugu,
Yeah.
fan-fucking-tastic. Watch it.
Freaking great. Watch it. You want a nice, lighthearted time.
It oozes charm
Yes.
and character and
Yes.
wholesome adorableness. It's so cute.
It's so cute.
I had a lot of emotions in my heart, and almost none of them were negative.
This was your anti-trash.
This was my anti-trash. Yeah, this was the cleanser of well,
The palate cleanser.
the palate cleanser. I mean, there was some pretty good stuff that came out that year, or that
Yeah.
season.
That season was nice.
But there was also a lot of just garbage.
Yeah, there was a lot of garbage.
There was a lot of garbage.
You know, it's fine. It comes and goes.
All right, and let's talk about our very dear, most recent season.
Fall 2017.
Yeah. Woo.
All right. Well, you start off because you watched this one and I did not.
I watched half of it,
Okay.
but I have read the manga,
Okay.
and Maho Tsukai no Yome is beautiful, is gorgeous. It's based on sort of European fairy mythology, which is really interesting,
Mm-hmm.
and it's real good.
See, this is interesting because I was talking to someone else about it, and they weren't into the anime. Like visually, of course they were, but story wise, they didn't like it because it reminded them of like kind of like Twilight-esque dramas of like, you know, this girl's kind of like kidnapped or forced into some kind of marriage or something. I mean, I'm just saying as someone who hasn't read the story at all or whatever.
Right.
I don't know anything about it, but that's what turned them off from it, was that it's very like teen drama-esque and they weren't into that kind of thing. What would you say about the story?
So I think that I understand where that sort of feeling comes from.
Mm-hmm.
Because this show definitely has that element of like, oh yeah, nobody likes this orphan child. Everything's terrible and everyone hates her. Until this mysterious, tall, dark, and handsome man comes along. Except the tall, dark, handsome man is not like a forever 17-year-old pretty boy. He's a he's a tall man with a dog antelope skull and red eyes. And really, now that's a handsome man right there. There is, I think... Okay, so here's the thing, is Twilight's an interesting case, because you have this girl wanting to escape her boring, hellish life, but, like, her life is kind of great. Like, her dad is a really good person. Like, he's a decent father, more or less. And in this, anime,
I don't know
she's
anything
just
about
like
Twilight,
the stereotypical, like, oh, this is the tragic orphan that nobody likes. And I think it's really interesting the way that it plays with the formation of new familial bonds.
Okay.
And I'm kind of interested to see where it goes, because it is, titled The Ancient Magus Bride, and they are, I guess, supposed to get married, but, like, I mean, they mention it every now and again, but they never, like, talk about it. So I'm kind of interested to see when that will come into play, but I think it is interesting from the standpoint of it's a show about a girl and her life sucks, but then there's this guy who is, by the way, a fucking monster. Like, he's just straight up, like, he's not even a person, he's not even a magic person, he's just a fucking monster. He's a shadow monster with a skull for a head, but I think that's the right kind of tall, dark, and handsome we need. I'm just saying. I think that the normative, like, sort of relationship ideals or conventions that we have, created by things like Twilight don't apply, because, like, yeah, sure, in Twilight he was a vampire, but this guy is a literal monster with a dog antelope skull. Like, he doesn't even have a normal human face. She doesn't even like his normal human face. Also, like, I think the magic feels, like, very integrated into the world. It feels really like magic, I think. And that's hard to do, actually.
Yeah,
and
that's what I hear about it.
I wouldn't be able to pinpoint it right now without finishing it and then thinking about it some more, but the magic does feel magical, which it really can start to not when you watch a lot of anime.
Right. Like, it feels like part of the world and also kind of, like, innovative in a way, I guess?
Right.
Like, something you haven't seen before?
It plays a lot off of, like, the Fae and sort of that concept. At the same time, it feels a lot more like a fairy tale. Like, I think that's the thing about it. Like, there's a fairy tale-esque quality to it that is replicated just, like, perfectly. It feels a lot like, and I watched this recently for New Year's. I watched Labyrinth with David Bowie.
Yes.
May God rest his soul. And his big crotch. Listen, those pants are very tight. They're very nothing tight to the imagination.
Yes, you know exactly what you're getting into.
But it feels a lot like Labyrinth in really just sort of the general aesthetic that it has, I think, because it's, like, so separated from society, and it's, like, well into the realm of the magic, and that feels way different than something like Twilight. And I think the relationship dynamic, you can perceive it as something that's quite similar, but whereas Twilight is, urban fantasy, Mahotsukai no Yome is, like, straight up fairy tale.
Okay.
I'm really invested in this relationship between this teenage girl and this big thorn monster.
I mean, she's 15, so I have to have a limit on how invested I am in their relationship, but...
He's, like, a bajillion years old. Yeah, I don't think it matters how old she is at this point.
You gotta be old enough to make... nice decisions about your life.
I mean, this is fair, and I think that's probably why they don't, like, talk about marriage that much. Because, like, he's like her dad right now.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
It's weird.
Good.
But I love it, and I think it's really pretty.
Okay. I will probably eventually check it out.
Yeah. I think the story that it tells is, like, pretty compelling, too. Like, it's about how magic fucks up people's lives. basically.
Oh, okay.
Because it's like, and this is also part of it. Like the magic is super fairy tale-esque, where it's almost like it's almost Full Metal Alchemist in the way that it's like you can't really get something without like giving something back. So like the first like arc, they come upon this like big hate blob, and it's this big cursed hate blob that is created because this guy just wants to make his wife live longer because she's really sick. And so this traveling magician is like, well, if you kill a bunch of cats and you drain their blood, you can make a potion that might give her immortality or whatever. And so he does it, but, you know, it doesn't work, and she turns into a hate blob.
Oh.
She melts into a puddle and then becomes a hate blob, and then they have to fix it.
Oh,
it's really charming.
Okay.
There's a lot to it. I love it.
The hate blob is really charming.
The hate blob is very charming. You'll be surprised. Also, the doggo is best boy. Like, he's just a person, but also like a dog. It's great. I think that one's an Irish myth.
Nice.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about Shokugeki no Soma, San no Sara.
The third season.
Season number 3. It's more Shokugeki. I mean, we talked about it last time we did a podcast.
If you like cooking anime where clothes fly off, and you want more, this is more of it.
If you like equal opportunity fan service, watch it. If you like food, watch it. If you like...
I feel like they definitely show more girls than guys, though.
Oh, yeah.
To be real.
But they do show, I think, more guys than your average show.
Yes, your average.
This is like
they
the
try
one
to
point,
equalize.
right?
Yes.
They always have the one female judge, and she always gets the most, like, camera attention, let's say.
Oh, yeah.
If you like shonen battle shows, actually, I would really recommend watching it. I think as far as like mundane shonen battle goes, this is one of the best. Like, it combines shonen battle and sports in a really interesting way, and we don't really see a whole lot of it. I think like a lot of people compare it to like Yakitate Japan, but this is like way more on the sort of like hyper competition, like ruthless cutting edge. Like, it's like watching Chopped, except their clothes fly off. And honestly, if the judge's clothes flied off in Chopped, I would watch all of it immediately. I mean, I've seen a couple episodes, but like,
I can't argue with you because it's true.
Right? Like, if they were ordered to, instead of like, or while they were describing the food, to start stripping in proportion how good it was, I would watch it in a heartbeat.
The viewership would be insane. Like, it doesn't matter if it's censored or not. The viewership would just go...
I really like Shokugeki. I think it does Shonen Battle really well, and I think it does Raising the... I know you don't like it, but I think it does Raising the Stakes.
I like it.
Well.
I like Shokugeki. I just don't like the fake stakes. Right, like they try to pretend like that it's all on the line. Oh my gosh, he's gonna get expelled, but they say that he's gonna get expelled every single time he battles.
Yeah,
and it desensitizes you.
I feel like at this point that's not a real stake. Like, that's just like the baseline.
Yeah, exactly.
Length.
It's not a real stake. Yeah,
but I think that there are, and you know, it is one of those shows where you know how it's gonna end. But
yes,
I do think it builds like character drama in a way that is honestly better than a lot of other shonen that I've watched.
Yeah, I mean, I like the characters, and I like the cooking, and I like the battles. I just don't like that aspect of it. Of like, oh, they have to throw in a stake there, so they're gonna threaten to expel him again.
Right. I'm way more invested in, and this is probably like weird to say, but I'm way more invested in like seeing Soma and Erina have like a Shokugeki than I ever was in like, come back, Sasuke! I miss you! And it's just like, this dude didn't do you any favors. You kind of hated him, actually. Now you're best friends? What the fuck?
But then we got Boruto.
And I have not watched it.
Neither of us have watched it, so that's why we're not talking about it. But we got it.
Why does it exist?
Because everyone thought that Naruto was ending and they were in despair, but then all along he had Boruto planned, so it's fine.
Well, because like, what about Boruto compels me which is a question and not a statement. Like,
Okay.
there's nothing about Boruto that seems to compel me, because everything about Boruto is that he's like Naruto, but his dad loves him, which is like the exact opposite of the point, because like Naruto, his character arc was like everybody hates him, so he wants to prove himself by becoming the ninja president. And
I think it's riding on your investment in Naruto and those characters.
I guess so. I don't know. I
because they're the offspring.
I can't do it. I cannot do it.
Yeah. I can't do it either. I skipped to the end of Naruto, so.
I didn't even do that much. I don't know what the fuck happens at the end of Naruto. I just know that I guess some of them live. I guess Neji dies? Maybe?
Yes, he does.
Whatever.
Neji dies.
Listen, the only thing that I was invested in was like the first like handful of arcs where you have Zabuza and the whole Water Clan, and that was fucking dope.
Oh, that was a good
Although
arc.
I watched that
recently,
recently, and I really wish they'd make a movie out of it, because the anime is insufferable. It is 5 minutes of like recap and then 15 minutes of literally the same shots, like the same part of the episode.
So they
just cut and
one-pieced
paste it.
it.
So they recap it and then they replay
Yes.
the episode, and then they get
Yes.
through like 5 minutes of actual material.
Yes, that's One Piece. They One Pieced
They
it.
one pieced it, but like at the beginning of the show, I hate it. Oh my god, I didn't know how intolerable that was.
Well, we had rose-tinted glasses when we were young.
That's true. Yeah, I think Naruto is a lot more compelling if you read it, and only the first handful of chapters, or arcs rather, because like fucking, or they might have fixed the animation problems by the later points in the series, because like, oh fuck, Rock Lee versus Gaara.
I still
Iconic.
remember Rock Lee's fight. Oh my god, it was so good.
One of the most iconic fights of all time. Holy shit. Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Speaking of shonen battle anime,
We mentioned this last time. A bit.
Fuck Black Clover.
We mentioned screaming, and then or at least I immediately jumped to Black Clover.
Oh my god. So
By Studio Pierrot, by the way.
yeah, so here's the thing about Black Clover, is apparently the manga is a lot better.
Is it? Because you don't hear screaming?
Well, obviously, right? Because you don't have to hear the screaming. He just does that, and you read the panels, and you're like, okay, I can imagine that as a scream.
Okay, yeah.
No, so the reason the manga is better is because the pacing is a lot better, because apparently what the anime did was they stretched out like 2 chapters for like 4 episodes.
For the first 4
Yeah.
episodes? Okay.
So apparently all that shit goes down in the first like chapter. And
Oh.
the pace is lightning fast, which for this show would be way better. Apparently what it does is it uses the conventions of shonen anime to elide all of the bullshit that we don't need to see. And so it can move really, really, really fast because we know how shonen anime works, or shonen manga work, or whatever. But because the anime is paced so poorly, and they might be doing it because they're like, oh, we're in this for the long run, right? Because it's like it's a popular shonen anime. It's gonna go on forever.
Right.
It was not a good idea. Like, it was... Oh, boy, it is excruciating. Apparently, all of that shit, like, most of it just doesn't exist in the manga. They just get to skip over it because we know it happens. But in the anime, they're like, okay, now that we have talked about his brother, we have to have the flashback to when his brother was born, and then we get to talk about how he was always better at magic, and then how everybody likes him better than the main character, because the main character can't do magic, and he sucks.
Mm-hmm. That's really unfortunate. Wow. Now I'm compelled to check out the manga and see the difference.
Yeah, I think reading it would be much more enjoyable, because, like, not only do you get to skip all the bullshit, you get to the interesting parts more quickly, and I hear that those are better.
Right. I mean, that sounds like a very smart decision for a series like this, and I'm rather shocked that they decided to go against what would make the series good.
Yeah, I am 100% not going to watch this anime. I watched.
Oh no, never. But I'm interested in checking out the manga now that you said all that. But
so we only watched one episode, right?
We struggled through one episode.
Holy
yeah.
shit! I cannot believe that. I fucking swear that we watched 2. It felt like we watched 2.
No, we got to the end of the first one. We were like, "What the f?"
Yeah. The Black Clover. Maybe read it. Maybe don't watch it. Actually, just don't watch it.
Yeah.
And you watched an episode of Inuyashiki.
Yeah. Did you watch it?
No.
Oh well. I watched it. Oh, God, frick. Yeah, like I was saying, in the beginning, I got very angry. But that's because I have a lot of respect for old people. And the beginning of the anime is all about how this old man's family has zero respect for him. They don't acknowledge anything that he deems important in life. And he also finds out that he has stomach cancer and he's going to die in 3 months. And he tries to call his family. None of them pick up the phone. He feels terrible, and he doesn't end up telling them that he has cancer. And so the first half of the anime, you're very, very upset with this old man. Then he has some kind of weird alien encounter, and then he becomes a robot.
Ah, yes, as you do.
As you do. It's like semi-CG animated. It's by MAPPA. And he, in the end, finds purpose in life because he manages to save this sweet homeless man who's trying to turn his life around from some demon children who who are basically firing fireworks at this homeless man and are about to kill him with baseball bats. Like, actual demon children.
I don't know what it is about Japan, but apparently anyone that's out after 8 p.m. is either going home or a fucking maniac.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is. Like, you're like, how do these children exist? And you're like, oh my god, these children probably exist in real life.
They probably do, because, like, you know what's a great Christmas movie? Tokyo Godfathers. You know another anime thing that exists where a bunch of people beat on old people? Tokyo Godfathers. People, I don't know what it is. People just hate the homeless.
Yep, they touched on that in this anime, and that's basically where the first episode ends, so I haven't watched the rest of it, but I'm interested in watching more after that.
I lied. I kind of have a big idea about why they hate the homeless, but that's a discussion for another time.
Okay. Anyway, if you like slightly emotional, kind of drama-esque, but very action-y
Edge
anime, then this one.
If you like the Edge,
If you
just
like the
watch
Edge.
it.
You like old man Edge, though. He's an old man.
Well, the old man is wholesome. Wait, do they only touch on the old man?
It's all solely focused on the old man in the first episode, but they do show briefly the black-haired younger guy.
Okay, because he's a giant bastard.
Okay.
He gets the god mecha powers and decides, I'm gonna fuck society in the asshole.
Oh.
He walks into a police station and just starts killing people.
So you know what's going on slightly in this anime, I guess.
Oh, I know the premise.
More than me.
And I've seen like a couple scenes, but I haven't actually watched it. But
Okay.
yeah, basically the conflict is between like the ultimate good and the ultimate evil of this kindly old man versus this edgy teenage boy.
Oh my
that just wants to
goodness.
fuck
Okay, now
society.
I need to watch this because I'm rooting for the old man.
Yeah.
And everyone else in this anime is terrible, except for the dog.
I just know it's really edgy.
Yeah.
But
Cool.
I hear that the actual manga is like quite critically acclaimed, and I've never gotten around to reading it or watching it.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well,
So yeah, if you like that edge,
that old man Edge.
and here's a palate cleanser for all that edge. Net-juu no Susume, the most wholesome anime that came out in fall of 2017.
Oh man.
Am I allowed to say that?
I mean, you can say that, I guess. You're
No, I'm
kind of like
I'm looking at this list. Everything else is...
you're rubbing up against my Kino, but
Well, Kino's not wholesome.
she's not. Yeah, it's not supposed to be a wholesome anime. It's just there are wholesome parts to it.
Yeah. Net-juu is really cute, and it's about a 30-year-old woman finding love, and I've never felt more heartwarmed or emotional watching an anime. I mean, I have, but like, holy shit, this was like, I binged this in like 2 days.
Yeah, no, it was really good. It's about this 30-year-old neat woman, and she plays online games, and like MMOs, and then she finds love. And it's great.
I really like it, because it's like, it's kind of like the soft approach to like, neats.
Yeah.
It's like the real life approach, which I'm sure a second season is coming at some point, I think I saw. But, if you've never seen it, basically, it's like, you know, neats aren't like bad people, which Japan seems to think they are. It's just that they're like people that, you know, for one reason or another, society has left behind, which is like, yes, you are correct. That is how it works. That's how depression works. But Net-juu no Susume is really, really cute. It's also a surprisingly accurate representation of what it's like to like interact with people online.
If you've ever played like an MMO, or if you are just on the internet in general, in which case you're watching or you're listening to this podcast, then you will relate in some way to this anime.
It's an MMO anime, except not like that.
Yeah.
Also, all of them live pretty close to each other, which I find fucking hysterical.
Like, yeah.
I love that their guild is accidentally local, because like, I don't think they touch on it this much or that much, but I'm pretty sure that the female character that has all the purple clothes on actually lives in the same building.
Oh.
She might. That's a guess.
Mm-hmm.
But it feels like it.
I was surprised by that.
But yeah, they all actually live pretty close to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, except for some of them. You don't ever get to know some of them, which I think is quite neat. Like, you don't... It doesn't... There are some mysteries left unsolved about the identities of some characters, which I think is quite fitting for a show about knowing people on the internet. It's also really wholesome, because it's about how the internet can introduce you to people that are really special. And that's really gay.
Oh no, feelings.
Oh, feelings. We hate those.
Oh no.
Oh, genuine displays of emotion. Blah.
Back to the trash.
Where's Gipple when I need him?
Gipple.
That's like recently my friend got married, and I said to him at dinner, you know, just this after he gave a speech basically. And I said to him, you know, just this once, I'm gonna say that was fucking adorable, and I'm not even gonna make like a fake gagging noise at you. Just this once. It was really cute. Anyway.
So cute. Oh my god.
As we return to the edge,
we
go to Junie Tyson.
Junie Tyson.
Which we never finished.
No.
And I'm kind of fine with that.
I mean, but if you like Tokyo Ghoul and you decide that you want Sweet Boy Kaneki-ken to be wearing short shorts with suspenders and bunny tail with ears and...
Stop.
Please watch.
I hate it. I hate him so much.
Please
watch.
watch.
I can't stop hating him. Okay. No, but for real though, if you like Battle Royale, but if they were all JoJo's, I mean, basically it's what this is.
Don't say that about JoJo.
Listen, they all have very specific powers. For some reason, the dog man, who just looks like that one dog man from Fullmetal Alchemist, just has poisonous fangs, which is not how dogs work.
Yes.
Like, someone needs to tell this person, hey, dogs don't have venom.
Yeah. But, yeah, you know, he got killed by the chicken, so it's fine.
Anyway, this is a show which is like a true-to-God battle royale. Like, there's no main character that's like, oh, this is the important one that has to survive. No, they're all, like, fucking jackasses. They all suck.
Yeah, well, we only watched, like, 2 episodes of it, right? Something like that?
Right, but you can comfortably watch them just slaughter each other.
Yeah.
It's fine.
It's pretty mindless.
Like, the rooster girl gets doped up by the dog boy, and then she crushes his head like an egg.
I like the rooster girl.
It's just, your face explode. Your face explode.
Yep.
Speaking of more edge, Osama game.
Dude, this was the edge season.
This season was really edgy. I don't know what it was. It's probably just the closing of 2017. You know, it just feels edgy. And then 2018 starts, and you're like, well, what could possibly go wrong in the first couple days? And then it's like, oh, that's right, everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yikes. So, Osama game.
Yeah, I feel like the manga or the novel or whatever that's based on is really highly regarded, but it didn't come across very well in the anime, in my opinion.
I hear that it is quite good, and it interests me that the premise is that the boy has been through another different killing game.
Yes.
But at the same time, like, that can only carry you so far. It's like, after the first couple people die, you're like, yeah, okay, but you're still playing a killing game. It doesn't matter if you know that, like, you've played it before. Like, I don't know. It was like, it felt like if Kokoro Connect was really, really, really edgy. Where it's just like, you have to fuck each other with your dicks, or else you will die, and your faces will explode, and you'll bleed out of every orifice. It's like, well, okay, alright.
Yeah, it's basically like this king or whatever like sends requests to these people in this classroom, and they don't fulfill the request, then they'll die in some horrible way. So, like, one person, these two kids or whatever, had to have sex or kiss or something with each other, and they didn't, and then they got killed. It's weird. I don't know. I probably won't watch more of it.
Me neither.
Yeah, I remember your internet crapped out during it, so we were like, yep, that's it.
Yeah, it was a sign. It was just like, nah.
No.
But we did really enjoy Kino no Tabi.
Kino no Tabi. Listen, let's talk about my favorite anime of all time. Let's talk about how it got revisited with a new season like 10, 12 years later.
I really like shows that have the aesthetic of Kino no Tabi, because it's shows like this and Mushishi that are like,
yes,
it's just about a wandering main character person that goes around, and it's not really ever about them, it's about everything else that happens around them. I'm really into that.
And that's my aesthetic for anime. That's why Mushishi and Kino are so high on my list. And Mononoke as well. Mononoke is about that.
Mononoke was gorgeous.
Yes.
Although if you've got like issues with sensory overload, I would be very careful about watching that show. That show is overwhelming, like, normally.
Yeah. For sure. But yeah. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like told in an anthological style where each episode is its own story. Occasionally they'll have elements that carry over, like characters that get introduced. They'll pop up again. But it's basically about this traveler named Kino riding around on their motorrad named Hermes, who can also talk. And they travel to different countries in every episode, and they stay only for 3 days. Which is basically long enough for them to get a sense for what the country's about, and usually the country has something really, really uniquely strange going on.
It's always really fucked up. It's never okay. It's always really fucked up. Listen, you go to a new country, and everything seems pretty cool, and there's, like, there's friendly people, and they all have, like, cake for you, and then you're like, okay, but, like, what's wrong with this country? And then you're like, oh, it's just a big gladiatorial fuck fest. Or, like, you're just allowed to kill people here. Or,
yeah, that was the first
this is
episode.
a moving country that runs over other countries. Like,
yes,
come on!
Yes.
It's always something really fucked up, but it's always really interesting. There's a lot of interesting philosophical questions raised about
that's what I love the most
about living and coexistence. And I think having that from the perspective of somebody who doesn't live anywhere is really interesting.
Yes. Kino is very just completely neutral about everything that goes on and doesn't morally get involved in it, like, no matter how wrong it is, basically.
Kino is my big favorite.
Kino is best.
Hermes is close. Also,
Hermes is a close second.
Also Knife Girl.
Knife Girl and Doggo. No, Knife Girl is Grenade Girl now.
I love that, like, he just lets her have these weapons. It's like, where did you get this grenade?
Insane! Like, are you kidding me? You gave her a grenade!
Listen, it's all the rage with kids now, grenades.
She stabbed you and you gave her a grenade!
I love it.
Yeah, it's a good show. Highly recommend. I hope they make another season.
Yeah, I want to go back
make
and
my heart happy.
I want to go back and watch all the old ones.
Yes, please do, because they have different stories.
Yes.
For some of them.
I'm super into it. Okay, well, we definitely have to talk about Hoseki no Kuni.
Yeah.
Even though neither of us finished it, we only got about 3 episodes in. It's really pretty.
So pretty.
Like, for CG, it's really pretty, and the animation is really good, and I've seen some clips from, like, later in the show, too.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good. I think the directing is, like, really good as well.
Nice.
Everything about that show is pretty top-notch. I would definitely watch it if you are interested in pretty anime, or genderless rock people. If you really like Steven Universe, this came first, so suck it. If you like sadness, apparently, it gets really sad, apparently. So,
Don't say that.
if you like tragedy,
No, who likes tragedy? Actually, there. Are
I
people who
love
like
tragedy.
I know.
If
you
something
and
hits me in
some
the
of my
feels,
other
I want it.
friends. Oh my god.
And that's all I can say about that, because I haven't watched the
We
rest.
haven't delved too much into it, but what we have seen is intriguing enough for us to continue later
I'm
on.
gonna finish it for sure.
Yeah.
So you did not watch this. I also did not watch this. But
I watched the first couple episodes of the first season.
I've watched, like, almost all of season 1. So Sangatsu no Lion is, like, legitimately, I think, one of the best anime in terms of its use of visual metaphor. It sets tone fantastically, and the art style is very... I mean, you look at it, it's like... It's evocative of a very certain, like, era.
Yes.
But it's really, really heartwarming, and it delves into... And I mean, this is a very common theme. I like things that are heartwarming. Warm my cold, dead heart.
Your trash drama-filled heart.
But it, I think, deals with social dynamics really interestingly, because it addresses the different kinds of, like, fucked up social dynamics one can have and the way that one can heal from them. Because, like, he has this super hyper fucked up relationship with his, like, because he's like adopted, because his parents died in a car crash, but he's also really good at shogi, and so his like new father likes him more than his own daughter, because he's just really good at shogi, and he's like a professional shogi player. I think his like bio dad also was, but he has this, like, really complicated, fucked up, and very, very organic relationship with his, like, stepsister, to the point where, like, it's, like, heavily implied that she, like, sexually abused him.
Oh,
but it never,
no.
but it never does it in a way that's like over the top or played for, like, service or even just for, like, tragedy porn. It feels like a legitimate, like, abusive relationship that they had that was brought about by their family circumstances. It's so good.
I do really enjoy, from what I saw of the character, basically just, you kind of slowly, like, sink into his mindset and how he describes his feelings and what's going on around him. Like, I like his inner voice a lot and how he describes things.
It's also like there's a lot in it that feels very human. It's like a very human story.
Yeah. It felt like all the characters that I saw felt very real.
And also the pacing is quite good. Like, the tempo of the show is, it gets really intense, but then because it gets really intense, there's, like, a moment or like an episode or two where, like, we peel it back and he gets to relax, and, like, you know, he's, like, with this new group of people who love him, and oh my god, it's so good. It's so good. It's like the anime equivalent of eating French fries and drinking a milkshake.
Junk food.
No, not junk food. It's just like hot and cold, and salty and sweet.
Okay.
It'll make you feel them feel pains, but then it'll relieve you and be like, it's okay.
Oh my god, you're comparing this anime to fries and milkshake.
If you like emotional BDSM, watch Sangatsu no Lion.
Oh my freaking frack. You're the worst commercial.
If you want an anime that gives you proper aftercare, watch Sangatsu no Lion.
God. Move on swiftly.
If you like anime that are very human, watch Sangatsu no Lion. And I think that's maybe the best endorsement I could ever give an anime.
There we go. God.
And the last one is one that you watched, but I didn't.
Yes, last one is Osamatsu-san, the second season. It's a lot. I mean, it's more of the first season, basically.
I was gonna ask, is it just more of the same?
It's more of the same.
Okay.
So if you enjoy, an old comedy series being revisited many years later,
and absolutely perverted to hell.
Yes, this is it, man. The jokes hold up in a way.
I will say, I do love the concept of Osamatsu-san as much as I love the show, because it's like, well, here's like an anime that's like really old and kind of a staple in Japanese households. What do we do to make it relevant again? Oh, we turn them into jaded adults. That's great. It's like if Doraemon started like a new series, except it was just about the main character, and he's like grown up and a member of like a full like fully fledged like office member of society, and Doraemon is dead and stuffed and just sitting on his like mantelpiece.
I think they did it very smartly, the way that they revisited it.
I think so. Great. I think it was very charming.
Yeah. Oh man, we just wrapped up 2017. Hot dog.
Oh, holy shit! There was so much that happened, and it was actually a really pretty good year for anime.
Yeah, I would say that there were definitely some great ones that I'll remember forever from each season, and like at least one.
And then there's also shows that were just big old trash fires that I will try my hardest to forget about, even though I didn't watch them, and they all have to do with little sisters. Can they just stop making those? Like, we're done with this. We live in a civilized society. We're done with this.
No. There will always be humans that will identify.
See, here's the thing: is there was a show that came out this year about it's like it was just called like All You Need Is Your Little Sister or something. Oh. And it was supposed to be like a parody or like a satire of that genre, but it was apparently just the same as the genre itself.
Oh no!
Like there was nothing about it that was any different.
No.
Whatever. Well, 2017 sucked a lot as a year, but for anime, pretty good.
Yeah, I would say so. It was all right.
All right. Well, this has been a hell of an episode. Rennie, where can we find you?
Oh, boy. I'm on the Twitches and the Twitters and the Tumblrs and IG and all that crap at at Swandron. And, yep, that's where I'll hang out. I stream pretty often, maybe every night, every other night. I haven't a set schedule yet because I got work and stuff and this podcast going on. But, yeah, I'm still playing through Yakuza 0. I'm almost at the finale, man. I gotta get through that minigame grind.
You're still not done with the game?
Dude, there's so much I have to complete.
Oh my god. There's a lot of games.
It's terrible.
There's a lot more game.
No, I just have the finale left. It's just the mini games and then the finale, but the mini games go deep, man.
Oh my god.
They go deep. Yeah, that's what I'm up to. And what about you, Sue? Where do we find you?
You can find me literally anywhere at Literal Soup. If I'm on a website, you'll find me there. I talk a lot on Twitter, by which I mean I post pictures of the food I eat, and sometimes I tweet about the weird things that happen in my dorm hall. And apparently I missed an earthquake.
Oh,
There was a
lovely.
4.6 magnitude earthquake that happened in Berkeley,
Oh.
and everyone felt it but me. I was awake at the time.
Oh my god, I was gonna say, were you
No,
asleep though?
Okay, this was an earthquake that was apparently so intense that it woke people up, and I just didn't notice it.
What were you doing?
I don't remember. I think I was lying in bed, like, playing a mobile game.
Oh my freaking god.
Either that or I was, like, wandering around the house. Listen, I'm just saying, if an earthquake happened, I should have felt it. But I didn't.
So you did the opposite of sleep through it. You were just awake through it.
I was awake through it, but I still didn't notice it. It was like, oh boy.
That's a new level, man.
It sure is. Well, thank you for joining
Yeah.
us on the Absolute Territory cast.
Dude, we had a double whammy tonight
So-
to make up for
It's
last
a
week's
big
miss.
ol' episode.
Yeah, man. And next week we'll be touching on introductions to the new season of anime, Winter 2018.
Whoa. Hang
Right?
on. I wouldn't promise something like next week. I'm just
Next
saying,
time.
Next time. There we go.
Next time, you little butthole.
Listen, it's an ill-defined, semi-regular podcast about something.
Okay, we gotta vagify the timelines a bit.
It's like the podcast equivalent of saying the other day. It could
God.
mean yesterday. It could mean 6 years ago.
All right. Next episode.
Next episode.
We'll talk about Winter 2018, whenever that is. Soup.
Yes. All right. Have a great day, everyone.
Shut up.
I can't stop thinking about greats.
Goodbye.
Bye.